Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Much love to you. Hope you're doing well. Alrighty then. Alright. Rain on for you.
Big shout out to Redmond, big shout out.
Much love to
We got
codes.
codes. And
Rain on there. Alright.
I'm going to announce my stream in a minute, please. You'll hear me over there.
I need to put your challenge in there. Well,
Hey, Pete. Hope you enjoyed that one.
hello.
Codes building. Yeah, welcome in, Pete. Right. How do I get off my screen? Really? Welcome in. Be by the phone. We're speaking about a little bit about telepathy. If you're interested in telepathy. Now, there is a link in the description about the telepathy tape, and you could listen to that. Well, there's a few on there you can listen to that, but it's about autistic children who are very telepathic, and a lot of other things as well.
Right. Well, we want to get into that when there's
Yeah.
people here to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So just to let you give you a little glimpse in, if you happen to catch that,
Little
which
heads
no
up.
one has yet, and that's cool. So we're just gonna kick back, get things put together, get ready, let some people actually roll in. And we got Brother Rhyme Time in the building. We love
Yeah,
you so much.
Rhyme
He says,
Time.
"Good be." You're gonna love this one, Brother Rhyme Time. The Holy Spirit led me to this video the other day. There was a bunch of rubbish videos, smack talk videos on YouTube. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got recommended this particular video, which is the main topic of tonight's show. So we're going to talk about telepathy tonight, and many other things that goes with that.
A lot of us have got it anyway.
Yeah,
a little bit.
everyone could
Most of the
use
time,
it.
yeah, at least one.
It doesn't
thing
mean
in our
you
life,
can or you do it.
done a
You
bit of
could.
that.
Everyone's got this built in. Anyway, great to see you, Brother Ron Tom. We truly appreciate you. How are you doing? We got Kansas
Yes,
City.
one times in my building.
Woohoo! Let's go
Good to
Chiefs!
see you, Bob. You know
I'll
what?
root for the Chiefs to win Super Bowl.
Yeah, one time I didn't comment on it, but I meant to. But no, I like that video you done. You shouted out the UK. Yes,
Yeah.
thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. Fred went over there. I was here. I thought I need to go there. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, you're the best.
Yes, and Dr. E's in the building.
Shout out, Brother Dr.
He's gone
E
cold
and the
red.
Mrs.
He's shouting
We love you.
Love you, Dr. E and the wife.
Big hugs to you both.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I pray you have a very blessed new year, whoever you are listening in. I really do pray God will
I'm
extra
not a
bless
day
this
early.
new year. Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year's though, isn't it? Like 25 years. Wow.
Woohoo! Brand new chance for a brand new start.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I'm excited to see what the Lord's got in store.
Hopefully everyone's well today.
That's
Yes,
right.
thanks, Dr. E. Wishing Happy New Year.
We got some other comments from Brother Long Time. You are the best dude. I really appreciate you. It's a Super Bowl. Here we come. Let's go Chiefs. KCMO
Please
816.
take that again.
Oh, he says he's good too as well.
Yeah.
Super good. Thanks, God. Always have and always will be keeping you in our prayers. That's for sure, Brother Long Time. You know I have and I will.
Yeah.
You know, you got two of us praying for you. Sending our love and prayers out your way. That's what's up. Tag team.
But for real though, these telepathy tapes, like
They're so good.
they're mind bending. Like, they
That's
will
for
give
sure.
you a you know, a,
It's
well, you
gonna
look at
change
your
your perspective
perception a
of
little bit.
what the way you see life. That's for
I
sure.
see it how they
And
see it.
not that you haven't seen these things before in your own life, or say, don't get me wrong. It's not some of this isn't
That's
new.
really good stuff.
Some of it's not new. Some of it's
Right.
just
Because what it is,
newer to
autistic
hear that it's
children
actually real.
are actually in there, and they're being classed as like they're not in there. They're like retarded or dumb and things like this. You know, they don't know anything because they can't show you that they know anything until now. When you watch some of this footage,
Right.
you realise they're trying to use
Oh,
balls
bless you
to
so
like
much.
to write
He
with
says,
like
and I love
letterboards,
you
so
all
they can
too.
actually spell and do all these things. You
Right.
know what I mean? They're in there and they
Yeah.
can't communicate, and they've been trying to communicate, and you're like, oh,
It's funny
that's
because
the
it's not
heartstrings on it.
actually special
Pulls
needs
your
that they
heartstrings.
are. It's special
No, they are
abilities. They're
special.
specially ability
Yes,
able.
poor Farmer.
Hey, brother PDF, how you
Well,
doing?
then,
God
mate,
bless
I can
you.
make you feel well.
We love you, bro. God bless you, the missus and
You
your
look better,
family.
bro.
I pray you had a really blessed Christmas.
Yeah, you well, bro.
Shout out to me.
You know, but if we can get good at it, we know what each other's thinking, like your partners and all that. Because me and Reddit, we're like that anyway.
Yeah.
You know, pick up on each other's thoughts.
Well,
We
we
finish
both
each
had
other's
it.
sentences and stuff. I think we've all had that experience somewhere along the line where you know,
You can speak
you
to
know,
each other
you've had
without
the phone
words.
ring, you've had the other, you know, it's the ones like that. You hear a song in your head and then someone sings it, or you know, the other way around. The phone rings, think of someone. I mean, there's some uncanny stories where someone hadn't seen someone for say 8 years, and then they thought of them and sent them something by email.
Okay, I
And
do.
then that same person
Go
done
ahead.
the same thing back to them who hadn't seen them for 8 years and sent them exactly the same thing on an email. So you think, well, you know, what's the chances of that?
I just want to say
It's some
really
crazy
quick
stuff.
that both of us are absolutely bursting at the seams to share this with anyone besides ourselves because we just came across this information. Even though we've known some of this, we've been given this information by the Holy Spirit, for lack of a better way to put it.
What's done me is that autistic
And so
children have
we
got
are
it. That's what's got to me.
absolutely over the moon excited to share with anyone that has the heart and the time and the ear to listen, because I can guarantee you it will make a difference on the way that you see life. I can guarantee you that it will. And for the good, it really will make a difference. I'd like to encourage you and let you know in advance that what you will be listening to today is the official audio tapes.
Yeah, Red Mark
from
Place
this.
ain't
I
over
will
there, you know
be.
what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And I will let you know in advance that
Yeah, you go.
even though we both have our links on there so you can access the official site, after listening in here with us and doing our thing in your own time, I'd like to encourage you to go and do some more research and look into some more about this. And there are actually some visual videos that you can look at as well. But as far as today's concerned, most likely you won't be seeing visual videos, but you will be hearing the audio. So do just be aware. And what you're listening to is so vivid anyways that you don't need visuals. It won't matter at all. It's just fantastic. We're so excited to share this with you guys.
Like podcasts.
Yeah, there's a total of
So
10.
there's a lot to go through.
But it's so
It's one of them, you know, when you listen to one, you want the
encapsulating.
next one on, and the third one, and the fourth one,
They actually grabbed us.
It's just because the autistic side of it. I know about telepathy and stuff, so that was
Same.
grabbing me straight away. I'm like,
Same.
yeah, you know,
So
I want to know
good.
where they're going with it. And it's amazing.
It really is.
It's fun.
And don't worry, we won't leave you hanging for too long. We will get to it pretty short. We just want to wait for a minute, get things started, make sure people are in
I'm
here
just
first.
talking about it, really. I'm not
Yeah,
watching it.
preparing.
There's loads to it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to watch it. I've always seen it.
Yeah, well, you have, but they haven't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm there, you know, fix and watch it if they want it. I just thought I'm just going live and I'm just talk a little bit about that thing general anyway.
Right.
You're well peeps.
Definitely.
You just sent Jenny Christmas wishes by email.
Oh,
my
that's
cup
so
of tea. Yeah, she loved
sweet.
that.
She deserves
We love
it. We
Jenny.
love Sister Jenny.
Jenny's the
She's
best.
really one of the pure hearts out there.
Hopefully she comes in.
We love her to bits.
Good.
If she wants to meet with you one day right around time, get buy you a meal, give you a hug. She said her daughter lives out that way. I don't know if you caught that on the last one we were on, but she said that she did want to come see you, say hi, meet you every time. That's for sure. And the hug was it from us. Hopefully, Brother Dr. Ian and his family had a great, great Christmas. About to be a brand new year. We're living in the last hours of this year.
What? The next day channel, that's the channel. The food didn't work. Yeah, that channel's got some videos on it. If you went to that channel and subscribed to it. And you'll see like some videos there straight away. It's called deleting. And it's got all the tapes there to listen to. It shows you how long they are, like 46
Yeah.
minutes, 45 minutes, and all that.
But if you go to the link that we gave them, babe, that's the
Yeah, I
original
know.
podcast tapes are right there as well.
We said that, yeah. So,
Right.
there's even silly Joe Rogan fans going,
Yeah.
But this is all pretty new on here as well, so it's probably it's new out there,
Yeah.
so you might hear about it.
What you reckon? People, are you ready for? We might as well get started with it.
Well, you think one that? I'm all right. No. Again,
What's that?
I've heard it already.
Yeah, you have.
Hmm.
They have not.
Mhm.
So that part.
Mhm.
So that's what we do.
Okay. I'll see how there. There's the new year. Yeah, Divine Sparks in the building.
Hey, much love to you.
Who's that? Who's Divine Sparks?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how you doing, Heidi?
Sister Heidi, much love.
Yeah, Cody Ricky Blake.
We love you
Yeah,
guys.
hopefully you're well, Heidi.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I was thinking of her a few weeks back now. Random.
Yeah, you'll like it. I bet Heidi will like listening to them tapes. Yeah,
Good.
sure.
I
So
guarantee you,
tape.
anyone listening to it's gonna
You'll like
absolutely
them,
love it.
Heidi. The link in the chat there.
So good.
That's telepathy and autistic children.
Feel free to put your questions in the chat and we can stop at any time. That's kind of what my idea was, is to be listening to it with you guys. And if you had any questions or comments about it, because there's probably no way in hell you don't got any comments, at least if you don't have questions. Fuck me, this, you've got to have some comments for this. So please do feel free to just,
film as well, right now.
I think they're actually working on it. I'm not sure if it's already
did you
finished
watch
or
one
not.
for a
We
little
did
bit?
watch a film, but I'm not sure if that's the film.
Yeah.
There is one called Spellers. You can
Mm.
look into that. And so,
Yeah, it's even, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's.
Yeah,
I
even if it
think she's
weren't for them,
still
but it's
finishing
something.
creating the film, and what she says was that was some sort of a.
It's actually a film producer, the lady who actually got into it. So she stumbled into it, really.
Mhm.
And now, wow.
It's just
Oh,
absolutely.
and they
epic.
go to a place called The Hill.
That's right. So we should definitely start listening because
Yeah.
it's just so
They
juicy.
call it
So
the hill, like in your mind. You go
right,
there, it's called the hill, and then they talk there to each other.
yeah,
So that's the, they're so happy they got somewhere. Oh, at
right,
least, they want to come into this world as well. So,
right.
oh yeah,
Well, we should definitely give a listen, and then, like I said, happy to stop at any time. I'll stop 100 times for you if you have a question or a comment that you want to talk about. That's what I'm intrigued by is sharing this with you folks and seeing what your
yes,
feedback is.
you're having
Definitely, big
sitting
time.
down having a bowl.
Cool. I
You
like the
just fed
pace.
the pet.
I don't want to rush anyone, but
Preaching
this is
there.
so absolutely over the edge good in my own personal opinion that I can't wait. I just want to share it so bad. So that being said, seems like everyone's in an okay place. There's so much to pick up, and like we said, we've left the link. So if you missed any, you can hear a certain part that good, whatever it was, on your own time, you can actually clearly hear every bit of
Yeah,
it
I
and
just grab
rehear
them,
it.
I've got some stuff anyway.
So good.
bowls
And
stuff,
share,
even a
please
channel,
do
whatever.
share that information out. I'm not saying this particular live stream, which if you want to, great, go ahead and do that. That's beautiful. We appreciate that. But I'm talking about this information. And so is he. If you can just
Just look at
share it out
you
with
look at
people,
autistic people
get the
different. That you
information
might
out
actually
into the
say hello
world.
in your mind.
That's
Talk
right.
to them that way. You don't have
Right.
to use voice. You can do as well.
Right.
It's that you could even say, I know you're in there. How are you today? And then say, how are you? To the parent. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
wonder why you're staring at their child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, that's what it is for me because they used to gravitate to me at the schools and that year.
Same.
And I knew there was intelligent.
Always had a love
Because
for them.
some of them can speak.
Such
Not all.
compassion.
Most of them are non-speakers, but some can speak. So they say not too much. It's variable.
Right.
Mostly, yeah, it's non-speak.
Mm.
I find their voice, isn't it? As
Yeah.
well, like, yeah. Mm. Amazing, really. You think if we've got what they've got and they've got what we've got, that's like another human. That's like evolving into something. You know what I mean?
Right.
More
Mm.
they're connected. Uh,
Well, let's get right into it without further ado, because we have definitely been here, chatted away. We're going about 20 minutes in almost, so we might as well roll that. Now we're just listening to
yeah,
beautiful sounds
isn't
of
it? I
some
know it's
rain.
3D. It is then. I used to think that when I was 12 myself anyway. Oh,
What's that?
so like fencing, it's this
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah,
restricted gear. It's heavy,
yeah.
it's like that. You felt you're just getting heavy as you're getting older, if you will.
Right. Bogged down by too much
And you can feel
unwanted,
it.
unnecessary information as
And
well.
then you get to like 40 or whatever, and they start lightening up. You're shredding off all that
Hopefully.
what you carried, maybe. Fine, too.
Right. Oh,
Is that right?
yeah, me too. So, like,
Yeah, that's good.
screaming.
Just do my info for 6 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
Only 20 seconds.
Sure,
It's
sure.
one beat, but 20 seconds.
I want everyone to be happy.
I have to say, welcome to the channel. Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay. Oh, wow, that's some train.
Woo! Yeah, I like it. Hope you like it. You'll see
I
a
think
lot of
that's
it.
really good. I really like that a lot.
I'll go as well. Put the catties in there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm feeling frequencies and like 432, 528. There's a lot of other frequencies that resonate parts of the body and your DNA, and that would really, really help.
You
I
know
know
what?
they go there into the ethereal and get downloads. It's just asking for them because apparently you can do certain things when you're there. So,
You know what else I'd like to say really quickly? I think that what we are about to delve into a beautiful way to, for lack of a better way to put it, to debunk a lot of phonies out there. And even phonies that don't realize they're phonies, to be fair. To be really fair, there are some phonies out there that genuinely and honestly, in all fairness, don't even realize they're fake. Do you understand what I'm saying by that? Thank you. So I don't hold them accountable myself or whatever. I'm just saying there is a revelation that is coming for the phonies, whether anybody else in the world knows it or not, which surprise, surprise, a lot of people in the world know it. And things are going to change. They're going to change for the good, in my opinion. I think so. So that being said, I think if this could do something like that, that's just beyond words, fantastic.
Yeah, I just want them to have their voice and they can tell us stuff, and they're not. It's like you've got gatekeepers to anything.
That's right.
You can only tell so much. Be like me or yourself or anybody in the chat. They're talking to someone about something they don't know about, and you're educating them. You can't give them the whole lot, can you? You can only give them so much before you'll lose them otherwise.
Right.
So when they're ready, they're going to get the next bit maybe, or you'll be urged to tell them more. Like that. So I feel that with the autistic. They're like, they can only, they've revealed they go to a hill. They didn't take. So that's probably big. Oh, there's Elderberry.
Oh, Brother Elderberry, I'm glad we have waited for you. We didn't know you were coming yet, but we waited.
Happy New Year Eve, Code. Yeah.
We love you.
I love that.
Over in the building. Over in the building.
Good to see you.
This is about to be the best ever. Tell me it's not. It's about to be so good. It's already all right. It's about to be so good. So good. By the way, if you do get emotional, you might want to get your Kleenex ready because you're going to be laughing. You're going to be crying. This is an emotional roller coaster that you're about to be so glad you decided to be brave enough to get on. Promise you that. Money back guaranteed.
Yeah. They know where you hide your stuff as well.
Absolutely.
With telepathy, you can't hide nothing.
That's
They're going
right.
to know where they
Obviously.
If you say, where's them chocolates, right, to someone, they're going to think about where they're put them. They can't help it. Now you're going to go, oh, is that where you put them? Yeah. Yeah. It'd be good, wouldn't it? No one could do any hiding.
That's the best.
Like my feelings.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. So that was. And they do say that, the autistic children, they say they don't lie. And they say the matrix or this 3D or this whatever we're in, lies happen. And it's so true.
Right.
I'm getting my floor.
Oh yes, I can't wait. So who's ready for this? Is everyone sitting down? Does everyone have whatever they need? Their tools, their snacks, their beverage? Is everyone ready?
You can still say
yeah, absolutely. Just let me know because I'm happy to pause like infinity amount of time. So I'm gonna push play now on.
Only finish your house after 5 years of working.
Oh, who's that? Brother Elderberry?
Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
It's good. A lot of things are moving or a little like we're getting that vibe around.
Yeah, people are moving or have their house fixed up. They just finished fixing up for years or something,
Yeah. And with us,
there's a lot of shifting going on, huh? Yeah. Growing.
And the thing is, when you're moving.
Oh yeah.
Why do you moving? They go, yeah, I'll get the fact.
I was thinking of Sister Heather as well. I love her to death. I pray she's doing well.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah,
we think of you guys. I can't help it. I think out loud of you guys.
I think a little one for some reason. I can't remember that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just little wing. Yeah, I could imagine her. Yes, like I had a day of her messaging me or something. That was it.
Oh.
It's like she's. I remember, like she's.
Sister something. Jenny. Yeah. She says, "Look, I'm looking, girl."
Yes, Jenny.
I love you so much.
Yes,
you're gonna hear the best one we've ever done tonight, girl. Whatever bits you're able to hear, and for the love of God, I've left the link. Sister Jenny, listen now. I got a chance to tell you. I left the link in the description of this because whatever bits of this you have missed, I promise you, in God's name, please hear me. I'm talking directly to you, Sister Jenny. If you can't get this information out to anyone, please, in the name of God, please do that. I know you will. That's why I'm stopping everything to directly talk to you. I love you with every bit I've got, girl. And I am so happy that you made it to hear any of this at all whatsoever. So happy that we haven't even started yet. Thank you, God, we haven't pushed play yet. She says, see all the hearts, LOL. Oh no, I don't see any hearts. I don't have my other phone on. I don't see hearts in StreamYard. That's whack.
Oh yeah, I got that.
She says slow down. Oh man, I got one speed and that's go. Come on, girl.
Just get in and shit.
I love her to pit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Nightbot's in food.
What's up, Nightbot? How you doing?
You're welcome.
I love you, Nightbot. I wish I could have you on my channel, buddy, but
yeah,
I gotta wait for you. I gotta take care of you and fix you.
I thought they would have had a like 3.0.
Talking too fast. I always seem to do that on occasion. All right. Yeah, just saying to share out this information. The link is in my description. It's super important to share it. Yeah. Yeah. So let's do it. Everybody's ready.
Yeah.
We're going to push the first episode. You're now listening to the Telepathy Tapes, episode 1, with us, Code and Red. Red and Code, whichever way you want to put it. You're sitting down for this. This is called a Telepathy Tape. And it is going to absolutely blow your mind away. The lady
who's speaking is Kydickens.
It's spelled Kydickens. That's the woman's name here now. She's the one of this thing that will listen to this thing now with first player. Yeah, she says, okay, sweet. You're listening to the Telepathy Tape podcast. My son said to me, I can hear it. What does this phenomenon happen? Why are his mind and my mind completely connected? Telepathy is the tip of the iceberg with their spiritual gifts.
People that understand that they can do this. They don't even have to be in the same room, same zip code.
Well, yeah.
For decades, a very specific group of people have been claiming telepathy is happening in their homes and in their classrooms. And nobody has believed them. Nobody has listened to them. But on this podcast, we do.
Come on, Lord! Speak to the people and touch their hearts. We're asking for a mighty movement.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Telepathy Tapes, where we venture into claims of widespread telepathy via a group who is systematically dismissed, non-speakers who often have autism. For decades, parents of non-speakers have been told by doctors, educators, and scientists that their kids are not in there. They are not capable of communication or competent of learning. Imagine being one of those parents and discovering that everybody has been wrong about your child. They are in there, they are competent, and they can communicate, but then also discovering that your child can read your mind. Would you expect to be believed? We're going to meet people who experience this phenomenon from every corner of the world. We'll travel to Georgia, Wisconsin, Oregon, New Jersey, and so many places in between. We'll also hear from families in England, Israel, Mexico, and India. I find it very difficult to figure out how to bring anyone into this world due to the natural skeptic in all of us. So I think it makes sense to start at the very beginning and how I tumbled into this world 4 years ago when I heard a podcast featuring Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell.
Welcome to the Cosmos in You podcast. So today we have Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell, who is a Johns Hopkins trained neuropsychiatrist, speaker, researcher, and author. In this episode, we discuss the research she's currently working on to study autistic savants and their telepathic abilities.
I had never heard of something like telepathy being talked about from a neuroscientist. And I went back to the intro just to learn a little bit more about Dr. Powell's background.
I
Right
applied
for
to medical school and went to Johns Hopkins. And while there, I continued to do neuroscience research and work with some of the greatest minds in neuroscience. And instead of staying on to Hopkins for faculty, I joined the faculty at Harvard.
So, as much as someone can be, she's a legitimate academic. And she goes on to talk about her background in research. She started by studying savant skills. For a quick refresher, savants have exceptional aptitude in something like math or language or art without having any formal training or exposure to the skill. So, like someone who can play piano expertly without one lesson, or someone who has a brain injury and suddenly understands calculus. So Dr. Diane Powell is studying savant skills in autistic children, and somewhere along the way, enough parents had said, look, I'm actually not sure if they are a savant. I think they might just be reading my mind. Dr. Powell's primary subjects are non-speakers who are usually diagnosed with autism. Her subjects to date communicate by pointing to a letterboard or typing into an iPad or some sort of other speaking device. She explained doing experiments with some of these non-speakers where she'll put them in a room and put the parent or teacher or whoever they're telepathic with in another room or on the other side of a partition. Then Dr. Powell will generate random numbers or random pictures, and the non-speaker will try to type out what they believe the parent or their teacher or whoever is looking at from the other side of the room. And here's the host, Suzanne Scully, asking her how accurate the children were.
And if the time that they are correct is statistically significant.
Oh, it's like over 95%.
Over 95% of the time?
Yes.
I'm a science nerd, and that part of my brain just could not compute what I was hearing. However, I'm also a documentary filmmaker, and that part of me was totally fascinated. So I had to call her up.
Oh, you're frozen.
Can you see me? Hear me now? Diane, let me try this 1 second here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I record this just because you never know what I know? Okay, great. And I'd love to hear from you just in a nutshell. Explain the work you're doing right now.
I'm working with children who have been reported by a parent to be able to read their mind.
I'd love to hear, as a scientist, what has made you believe that this is not just a whoopee type thing, but this is actual science.
I started testing them, and I found that they were exceedingly accurate. We were capturing it. I mean, usually I try to have like 3 cameras.
Oh, for sure. She gave an incredible overview of all the research she's done to date. And we also talked about the amount of parents reaching out to her about telepathy in their non-speaking children from all over the globe.
And then today I got an email from someone who says, I just discovered that my child's reading my mind. And he says, so he wants to talk to me. It's kind of nice to have these different cases that they're at different stages and also demonstrate it in different ways. And so even if you can't get the perfect experimental setup, you have to look at the cumulative evidence to date.
And that made me ask about the perfect experimental setup. If she could have anything, what would it be?
Ideally, you would get some kind of brain imaging of both the transmitter and the receiver. And the simplest way to do that would be to do it with a quantified EEG.
I was totally impressed, not just with Diane, but with the earnestness in which these families were approaching her, desperate for answers. And I understood for the first time that if what the families were saying was true, there was a possibility that this research could completely shift our paradigm, how humanity sees itself in consciousness. And I knew I had to document all of this research immediately. What I would love is to get to wherever you are and sit down with you and maybe come up there for a day or two. And
you mentioned Washington, but I live actually in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
And
after talking through some of the logistics, she said yes. And I also asked her if she could please send me the drive of all of her former tests. All right, thanks, Diane.
Okay.
All right, take care. All right, bye.
And bye-bye.
So I did get a hard drive in the mail from the camera guy who had previously filmed Diane's telepathy tests with various kids. And the drive had tons of information, lots of folders, lots of files. So I called up the camera guy who sent me the drive for 2 reasons. First, I wanted to understand what I was looking at on the hard drive and how all the footage went together. And more importantly, I wanted his take on the legitimacy of the test before spending my own money and heading up to Oregon.
Scroll down to where it says Telepathy Selects.
Okay, so I'm in the folder right now.
In the room, I had several GoPros set up. There should be views from cameras A, B, C, D, and we also in that room had some large face display clocks.
So just to jump in and set the scene here, when I pulled up the footage, there were 5 cameras, and this was an experiment with a young girl named Haley and her therapist that worked with her often and said that Haley could read her mind. So Diane went to conduct a telepathy experiment, and this is what the cameraman captured. So what I'm seeing in this experiment is the therapist who's in a different room will look at a flashcard or a random number through a random number generator, and then Haley will proceed to try to identify that word or that number accurately via telepathy. Is that a petition on the table between Diane and Haley?
Yes, we wanted to block the area so there'll be no visual cues. And then I believe the microphone there, so you could hear if there were any auditory cues given. So therapist is in the other room. She'd look at these cards, hold them in her mind, and then Diane would ask Haley, what do you see? And then Haley would proceed to type out letters and numbers and then hit play, and the talker would pronounce the word or the phrase.
Like, what was the takeaway that you observed from being there as a neutral outsider?
Haley wasn't 100%, but she was up in the 90% accuracy, and it just blew me away. It was pretty amazing, and seeing it actually take place and reviewing the footage afterwards, it was just a little jaw-dropping. And I was convinced that it's very real. Seeing how careful Diane was to set up the experiment, made sure that there was a total separation. I did have an IFB that I was listening and monitoring what's going on in the experiment room. So I can attest that there was no deception going on.
This is really good overview. And it's good to know, too, that you felt really blown away by it.
Yeah, I believe each of us through our lives have had some similar personal experiences where, it is when you're thinking about someone and say, well, I want to talk to them, and then boom, the phone rings and it's them. Those situations, that knowingness, tapping into the conscious collective.
My conversation with Kent, the camera guy, convinced me it was totally worth it to go up to Oregon and meet Dr. Powell in person. A flight on a new budget line and a rental car later, I ended up at her beautiful historic house. It has this huge, beautiful brick driveway and rolling green lawns around it.
People joke about it being Hogwarts West.
And that's actually a really great description. The house feels as though it's been there forever, and it has beautiful woodwork and artwork, tapestries and rugs from all over the world, and there's Dutch doors with pane glass separating various small rooms. There seem to be books and diplomas and pictures everywhere, and it just feels iconic, historic, and full of knowledge.
This is my home office, and I get a lot of emails from people who heard me in a podcast or seen one of my lectures inquiring about research on savants and telepathy.
So yeah, could you maybe even read me some emails of what parents might say when they reach out to you for the first time?
This email is from a medical doctor. He wrote, as much as I have been trained to think otherwise, I believe that I am the guardian of a non-speaking autistic child who I had thought was a savant. But now it is inescapable to believe that he can easily read my mind. He can write down any number of words of which I am thinking, as insane as that sounds. Please call me.
She took me through an array of emails.
We had made her multiple tests, and he would answer correctly every time. Then I made up a number in my head, and she wrote it. He was writing the answers from my thoughts. She can read other people's minds besides me. Looking forward to hearing from you. Take care.
What surprised me was that all of these people from various corners of the world were all saying a version of the same thing. They had a child diagnosed with non-speaking autism. Doctors and or educators had told the parents their children would never communicate or perceive the world beyond the level of a toddler. However, through a leap of faith or a twist of fate, these parents discovered their kids were in there. And in these cases, the kids learned to communicate via an iPad or a letterboard. And once the kids were communicating, the parents discovered through various means their children could read their minds. And they would test this unbelievable assertion over and over again, only to find that it was true. Many of these parents were not believed and felt alone, and they all had the same concerns. They had concerns about educating their children. They didn't know how to hide birthday presents or candy without it being found. They didn't know how to protect their private conversations or thoughts. And what touched me the most is these parents were grappling with something that they believed to be absolutely impossible. But here they were. They were watching something unfold that had no rational explanation. And they literally had nowhere to turn but this email inbox.
So this is an email that I received from Sophia, and this is her first contact with me. Hi, Dr. Powell. I am from Mexico. I have a cousin, Mia. She is 12. She can't talk and didn't communicate with us before. Recently, she got an iPad and started typing things. We thought she could read books in seconds and had photographic memory. My aunt read her some paragraphs, and she could finish the sentence or said on what page it was. And this may sound silly, but she is reading my aunt's mind. We have made her multiple tests, not professionally, and that's what she really does. Just her mom's mind, so far no one else's. We don't know what to do now. I greatly appreciate your time reading this. I hope you could answer me. Thank you, Sophia.
I asked Diane about the career implications of her following this line of research.
I knew that a lot of people would think, boy, Diane's gone off the deep end. But that's the risk a scientist takes when they challenge the current paradigm. The data was so compelling and accurate that I had to follow it, even though I knew I was risking my scientific reputation.
After spending the weekend with Diane, I headed back to Burbank, feeling like my brain was being bent into a new shape. I was grappling with a collision of facts. Dr. Powell seemed smart and ethical and clearly wanted to conduct sound research on this topic. She also felt a strong sense of responsibility to take seriously the numerous emails that she was receiving from concerned and bewildered parents. During my time with Dr. Powell, I also learned how hard it was for her to get research funded, and I got the feeling she was just tired of hitting brick wall after brick wall. And it's a good moment to note why this is. The reigning philosophy in science is something called materialism. This notion says all things in our world are the result of interactions between physical matter, right? Like things we can measure and observe. And research into telepathy falls way outside of the materialism lane. And thus, there's just not a lot of support for scientists like Dr. Powell who are thinking outside of the box. So I was wrestling with all of this, and I just kept coming back to the families. I just couldn't believe that parents of non-speaking kids who don't know each other from all over the world are in on a mass conspiracy theory to trick the world into believing in telepathy. That's just impossible. These families don't know each other. In fact, most of them reaching out to Dr. Powell felt utterly alone. They weren't sure if they were the only ones in the world that this was happening to. So from my point of view, there was something big and something real going on. And as a documentarian, I was pretty sure this was going to be my next big project. But in order to fully commit and dive in, I needed to see it with my own eyes. I thought about that family in Mexico from the email. Mia and her family had never met Dr. Powell. And it occurred to me that if I could get Dr. Powell and the family to Los Angeles, I could document a killer test for Diane with cameras from every angle, with mics on every single person. So I pitched this to Diane, and she was gracious and open to the idea. But she wanted to Zoom with Mia's family first. And they were open to her filming this first Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Hi, Mia. Nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's a lady.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the mother over here on the right? Yes, nice to meet you. What is your name?
Ileana.
In the Zoom image, we see Sophia, who's Mia's adult cousin, and her mother, Ileana. Sophia is the only one in the family who feels comfortable speaking English, so she's doing most of the translating. There are some other family members in the room who don't introduce themselves. I think one might be Mia's brother and her father, and you can just tell that everyone's excited to be there and eager to be taken seriously.
Ileana. So I'd like to hear from her when she first started realizing that maybe this is what was going on with Mia.
Sí, ¿quieres saber cuándo fue como la primera vez que te diste cuenta que tal vez eso es lo que puede hacer? Just recently, in October, November.
At this point, the adult cousin, Sophia, grabs off of the table an acrylic letterboard. It looks like a piece of paper about 8.5 by 11 inches. It's clear with letters and numbers in black written upon it.
Mia uses this board to communicate. She doesn't speak. And now with the pandemic, she's been like homeschooling, so she recently discovered that she can type like on the iPad and like that.
Dile que Mia me escribió que ella podía leer.
And Mia typed her that she could read her mind. She's aware she can do that.
Do you know how long she's been doing that?
She recalls having memories even since she was in her mom's womb, and that she can read her mind, everything.
And so was she developing normally and then regressed?
She was diagnosed when she was 2.5 years.
So she never developed language. She never was able to speak.
Nunca pudo hablar. No, never.
And what is she most interested in?
Music. She likes music. Water. She likes water.
What kind of music does she like?
Mexican music.
Oh, okay.
Like Selena. Do you know Selena?
At this point, Mia walks into frame and grabs the letterboard, and then she types something that seems out of left field. Mia very deliberately writes out Monterey, where she's from.
Her mom asked her in her mind to tell her where is she from, and she says Monterey, our hometown.
So you're asking her these questions, and then she's answering them. I see.
When I watched this for the first time, this moment was monumentally weird to me because Ileana, the mother, will ask Mia questions with only her mind, to which Mia will answer with the letterboard. So we will not hear Ileana asking a question. But just like any mother will be like, come on, tell them where you're from, or, come on, participate. Ileana was doing that in her mind, encouraging Mia to start writing.
I noticed that it looks like she's not even looking at the board. Is that true? That she oftentimes is just kind of pointing like this without even looking?
Yes.
I wonder how she does that.
She wrote in her diary that when she reads, she sees different colors.
Mia says she can see colors around numbers and letters, which is scientifically referred to as synesthesia.
So does she see colors around different letters? A is always blue, or and C is always green.
Yes, like that. Sometimes she sees a reflection of the colors, and that's why she doesn't need to see the letters.
Yeah.
She sees the colors.
Mia's mom explains that Mia keeps a diary in the form of an ongoing Word document where she'll enter her thoughts and memories.
Have you ever tried doing something like thinking of a number and then she can give you the number?
At this point, Dr. Diane and the family exchange WhatsApp information because Diane is about to start a test.
So I'm gonna give you a number.
And she proceeds to send a number to Ileana, who looks at it, then turns over the phone, and Mia, who's far away on the other side of the room, but we can see her, is clearly not seeing the number that's sent. And now Mia is walking from the far corner of the room where we've had eyes on her to her mother so she can begin to type what number was just sent. Mia has a huge smile on her face. It looks like she's loving this moment, and she types in the correct number.
Very good. Okay. Let me try sending the word.
No, that's how it translates. Okay.
Dr. Diane sends the family a word. Mia comes over again, a huge, huge smile on her face, and she correctly types in the word.
She's got a beautiful smile. Yeah, that's good. So she is she pretty much 100% accurate? Is she always accurate, or does she sometimes make mistakes?
She's 100% accurate so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And does she like doing the telepathy?
She said that she prefers to talk with her mom, like telepathy instead of.
So tell me a little bit more about your reaction to this when you discovered that she could read your mind. Did she think that it was impossible?
At the beginning, she thought it was impossible, and the next day, that when she went to wake her up, she had a word in her mind, and Mia, as soon as she woke up, she typed enamorada, me acuerdo. Purple school bag. That's what she was thinking, and Mia wrote that in the iPad.
If that was hard to hear, when Mia first said to the family, "I can read your mind," they thought it was impossible. However, the day after that admission occurred, Ileana, Mia's mother, walked into the bedroom, woke her up for the day, and said, "What am I thinking about?" And Mia wrote on her iPad, "purple bag," and Ileana was thinking about her purple bag. So that moment won her over. They go on to talk a lot about Mia's interests, health profile, whether or not she's eaten gluten, certain things that might impact Mia's body. The conversation ensues, and it's fascinating.
Is it hard to keep things hidden from her?
Her mom, she hides things, not only secrets, but things like objects, and Mia always finds them.
This one girl, she liked to eat potato chips, and then her parents would try to say, "Oh, we don't have any chips left." She knew exactly how many chips were left.
Mia says that she remembers also her first appointment with a neurologist.
What did she say about that?
That she went when she was 6 months old, and that the doctor mistaken her diagnosis because he said that she had microcephalia, and he was wrong. Her diary where she types things like that.
As if telepathy weren't enough to process, Mia has also journaled about memories which go back to her earliest weeks of life. And you'll discover, as I did, as we meet more and more families, that telepathy is just the tip of the iceberg. But then the conversation took another unexpected turn. And you'll hear Mia's brother talk here for the first time.
And ever since they discovered that she had telepathy skills, she can't sleep with the lights off. We don't know why.
Sometimes when she's in her room, like I see her like looking around and she starts laughing.
Do you ever ask her what she sees when she's looking around?
People. She says she sees people.
I realize that this seems way off topic, but the family didn't think it was. And they certainly aren't the only family who will say their kids can see things that they simply can't.
I really appreciate meeting all of you. I appreciate you taking the time. And I really want to help. I feel that these children, they're not getting their educational needs met. Yeah, you're very welcome. I appreciate it too.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Dr. Diane got what she needed to believe it was worth having Mia's family come up to America for some formal tests. So now it's game on. We're going to rent a house in Glendale to set up tests ourselves. This will be a place Dr. Diane has never been, the family's never been. And at this point, I trust Diane deeply, and I trust that she really is concerned with upholding the scientific method. But I just wanted to be in charge of buying all the cues, all the props, the blindfold, booking all the crew, booking the home, just so that it was bulletproof. I understand the high degree of skepticism that, of course, will surround this and all the tests and all this information. And I needed to make sure that I handled one test without Diane or the family bringing or providing anything. Back at home, I went on a telepathy test shopping spree.
Okay, good. She went shopping again. These are fantastic.
I've been married for 12 years. We have 2 little kids. And my family thinks it's hilarious to make fun of me by documenting 3 things. 1, all the tape I leave around the house. And 2, they think it's funny to take photos of me taking photos. And 3, they love to document all the things I buy on Amazon because apparently it's more often than I like to believe.
These are just Amazon things. I believe the family 100%. I just want to help appease any skeptic.
This is me trying to justify everything I'm pulling out of the box when the night before I said we have to scale back on ordering out.
I don't want Dr. Powell to bring the stuff. I don't want the family to bring the stuff. I just want to be the layer for the skeptics where it's get this up on Amazon. I'm not even going to open it until the day of. I just think that's the way to go. So, you turn that off.
And the next step was finding an Airbnb that was affordable, booking a small crew who could handle 5 cameras, the audio feeds to each one of the people there, and getting the family and Dr. Powell to Los Angeles. It was a huge lift, but if we want to categorize worth in terms of things that positively and permanently change your life for the better, then this was worth every penny.
Absolutely incredible, dude.
It took about 6 weeks of effort, and I called in a ton of favors, but now it's testing time. Various professional crew members from all over LA were doing me a solid. One of my close friends and a cinematographer, Michael Agnasanti, came in from Chicago with all of his equipment. I wanted him to make the trip for 2 reasons. 1, we worked together a lot, and I knew that he'd be able to capture everything happening in that room with integrity. But 2, he's a huge skeptic. He doesn't really believe in anything out of the norm. He's a materialist, which I love about him, but meaning anything supernatural or having to do with ESP, he raises his eyebrows at. And I also needed someone in Los Angeles who can translate for the family. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't someone that was part of the family or someone Dr. Powell knew, and someone that I could trust. My friend Rebecca is a total outsider to this world. She's an animator. She animates Disney films and Pixar films, and so she felt like a completely safe bet. And she speaks Spanish fluently. So I asked her if she would volunteer her time to be a Spanish-English translator during the test. Prior to the testing day, I sent Mia various questions so I could get to know her better. And here are some of Mia's thoughts in her own words. I am Mia, and I have autism. I can't speak. I communicate by writing. I'm not sick. I like mathematics. I'm very intelligent. I don't like earrings, and I don't like dresses. They are uncomfortable. It would be nice to be me without dresses. My mom asks me how I feel about having autism. I feel good. We are all good at something. I can't imagine being any other way. I am happy. When I grow up, I'm going to sell my book. With the money, I'm going to go on vacation to Japan. I like Japan because it's so developed. On Monday, I start high school and I don't want to. My mom says I'm a good student and I'm going to do well. I don't like the teacher. I feel like she thinks I don't know things. I like the kids. I don't even know if they will like me. Imagine not being able to talk. Sometimes it hurts like hell. Autistic people can do anything. It's a lie that we can't. We find it more difficult, but we can. It would be possible if they believed in us more. No one knows what life is worth, but don't tell me it doesn't matter. Today we are on trial. Only the good memories will remain. The good memories. Let's record thousands of memories. Okay, it's testing day and there's a lot going on. Mia, her father, her mother, and her cousin Sophia, who originally reached out, are all at the house. And so is a crew of about 6 people. The house is a mid-century ranch in Glendale. It's on a beautiful wide street with lots of lawns and trees. Because there's almost nothing in the cabins, I make the assumption that the house is mostly used for Airbnb and film rentals. There's a large living room, and that's where we've set up. We've removed almost all the furniture from the room, except for a gray fabric couch, where we will position Mia and her mother for the test. Before we get going, I do a little meeting with the crew and Dr. Powell.
So just technically, like we have a camera here that's going to be a wide shot on the family. This will be like a kind of a close-up that will roll between the 3 of you. We need to make sure the GoPro can see over her shoulder so we can see the number. And then every time that you have your cue, I'll just bring a divider in and put it between Ileana and Mia. The flashcard that I had, the numbers only go up to 10, which that's not statistically probably that great. So we were talking about is using a random number generator. So Dr. Paul, what numbers do you want to put in there?
I would like to try 3-digit numbers, so there'll be numbers between 100 and 999.
I'm putting all of this in here just to make sure people understand that the crew and myself went through great pains to make sure that there could be no cheating. We provided the iPad. In this room, I downloaded the number generator and we set up the parameters 100 to 999. There's always someone generating the cue that was given to Dr. Powell, which then she would give to the parent.
That's a reflective surface of the TV, so we need to cover that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a mirror there.
There's a mirror, yes, that's covered up as well. We'll take them down.
All right, so TV covered up, and then that mirror is going to come down. And then Brian, maybe if you wanted to do like a 360 of the room really quick.
I'm going to put all of this raw footage on the website, thetelepathytapes.com. The crew, myself, and Dr. Powell were meticulous about making sure this test was bulletproof.
So there'll be a blindfold on Mia. The other thing we're going to do is put a divider up every time that she sees the cue. So as far as blindfold goes,
Let me just try this on and see. Yeah, I can't.
You can't see anything?
Can't see anything. No. Mm-mm.
Hey, does anyone else want to try out this blindfold to make sure that you can't see anything?
Sure.
This is Michael. Can you see anything?
Oh, no. Like, not even up there.
All right, cool.
Legit.
That blindfold, by the way, is something called the Mindfold, which, as you now know, you can buy it on Amazon, and it is really intense and very dark. And I was so happy it was Michael who decided to try it on, in addition to Dr. Powell, because as I noted previously, he's my resident skeptic, and had he not tried it on, I think he always would have been questioning about the efficacy of the test. So we were about to start the test, but first, I just wanted to recap what the family was hoping for.
We want answers like what's the origin of what she's doing, where does it come from, if it's something that she will develop in time or if it's something that's like as good as it gets, and what should we do from now. We just want her to be happy, and there's so many things that we don't understand and we can't help her.
Okay, so our goals are pretty much set. We're going to start testing this, and the family just wants validation. They have experienced this in their own home. They think Mia is telepathic, and they need to know, is she? Just to set the scene here, Dr. Powell hit a random number into the random number generator. Then we asked her to hit it again and again, so we made sure it was super random.
And go for this number.
Okay, and then show Michael's camera.
and then show Ileana. Ileana stared for a while. There's a blindfold on Mia, and she's on the other side of a partition from her mother. I got frustrated with myself when I rewatched this for injecting myself too much in this moment because I was concerned that if Ileana didn't see the number for long enough, maybe the telepathy wouldn't work. Let her stare at a partition. The number that was generated was 698. Dr. Powell has just shown all the cameras in the room, and she shows Ileana. Dr. Powell is putting the iPad face down. We're taking away the partition, and Mia is going to take off her blindfold, so she can type. Okay. All right, and she wants to take it off now? She can. Is it done? And that's 6, 9, 8. Okay. Very good. So Mia got the number correct, and everyone was acting so calm, like this was normal. And I think everyone was just feeding off of each other and acting calm. But I was freaking out inside, and I wanted to go again and again and again. Mia was smiling and laughing. We all kept checking in with her and the family, and everyone wanted to keep going, which I was very happy about. Okay. Okay. Remember. Okay. When it's clear to post the board, let me know. Okay. Is okay? Yep. Uh-huh. How does it feel? We generated another number, and the number was 956. Mia has her blindfold, which is a very intense blindfold on, and she's behind a partition. Dr. Powell shows the number to the cameras and to her mother, and now she's putting the iPad face down, and we're about to pull away the partition and remove the blindfold. 956. Is that it? That was it. The room felt electric. Mia got that one right too, and you could tell the family was so relieved that Mia had the same accuracy here in front of the neuroscientist that she had at home. We check in with Mia. Everyone wants to continue going. We continue to do well over 20 tests with Mia and her mother, and she was correct every single time.
That's incredible.
And now we're going to do a different test with Mia. We have 6 different color popsicle sticks: yellow, purple, blue, green, etc. We're spreading the sticks out on a round end table that we grabbed from the living room. We have placed different colored popsicle sticks about 6 inches apart from one another in 2 rows of 3. Then one by one, we will hand Mia different colored popsicle sticks, and while blindfolded, she needs to put each one in the appropriate colored pile. So if we hand her a yellow stick, for example, she'll need to put it in the yellow pile, all while having the blindfold on. All of this is so mind-blowing. I'm not even sure what we're testing here, but it seems to me that we're testing, can she just see through the blindfold?
Okay. And she's going to hand her the popsicle stick.
Mia was just handed a green popsicle stick, and she put it into the green pile. Muy bien, Mia. Okay, we start doing the test, and Mia accurately puts sticks into the various piles. However, we notice that our piles are so spread apart that she's having a difficult time moving her body in such a way to reach the far yellow pile. So we move the piles a bit closer together, and she continues with her accuracy. In fact, what you see on the footage is that she put the green sticks where the green sticks go, the red sticks where the red sticks go, the purple sticks where the purple sticks go, etc., as though she can see through her blindfold. When the test was done, I was in complete shock and didn't even know the correct question to ask. So I asked, can she see through her mother's eyes? And they asked her that, and she said, no, I can see everywhere. After the room had seen Mia accurately display her mind-reading abilities again and again with random numbers and random pictures, that now feels commonplace. But this popsicle stick test feels like a new frontier. Okay, yeah, muy bien. I look at Michael, who's behind the camera, and he looks shaken up. So I ask him what he's thinking.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I wouldn't do it as a skeptic. I'm generally a skeptic in my life, most things. But just seeing this, I can't, it's hard for me to not believe this is authentic. I'm looking at everything. I'm watching her, I'm watching the mom, I'm watching everything. And for me, my perspective, it's real.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Rebecca, you're here today, an animator by trade. You just came as a friend because you speak Spanish and as a complete outsider. Like, what did you take away?
That there is something at play that we as humans don't see because we're busy with our senses, like we're busy with the tactile world. This is proof. It's just proof of that. She spelled out horse in Spanish. Like, that's out of this world, because if someone's blindfolded, there's something else happening there.
So I would ask the mom a question while we're rolling.
I also asked the family what they believed about telepathy or ESP before Mia revealed that she could read minds. And this is how Sophia answered.
We have never read nothing about telepathy or psychic skills, or we don't know anything about it. I think we still know very little. We started looking up information after we saw that she does, and I think before that we didn't even believe that that could be possible. But it's so clear what she does that it's there's no doubt that she can do it.
My favorite test had to do with a book I brought from home, something she'd never seen. And to me, this was just remarkable.
So Ileana closed the book.
What you see on screen is Ileana, who's got the book toward the camera, and Mia is facing the opposite direction.
Okay. And then just open up to any page.
When Ileana landed on a page, we'd ask Mia the page number, and she would correctly state the page number that she'd flipped to. Sometimes we'd point to a word on a page that we just opened to, and she would correctly spell out the word. We do this a few times, with both Ileana opening up the book and some of the crew opening up the book.
And now the number on the page.
¿Qué página tengo aquí?
1,
3.
Which one?
En la página 26 hay un personaje, en la página 26. ¿Me puedes decir?
Ileana was flipping through this book, and again, it's a book I brought from home, and there's a picture of a pirate on page 26. And so she stops there and gets excited and is asking Mia, what picture are we looking at on page 26? Again, the book is facing clearly away from Mia. She cannot see it at all.
¿Qué personaje es? U, I, R, A, U, A.
She clearly types Pirata, which spells pirate in Spanish. I love this moment because the crowd just goes wild. At this point, everyone in the room had their mind blown. If someone on the crew wasn't won over by the random flashcards or the random number generator or the popsicle stick test, they were by this book test. We decided to start pushing the envelope, and we tried to see if Mia could do telepathy tests with her father. We tried random number generators, random picture generators. Okay, Mia, you can take off the blindfold. And she could absolutely not tell us what her dad was looking at. Sometimes we'd show her dad a flashcard or a number, and Mia would start typing and then stop. And sometimes she wouldn't even type at all.
Because maybe it's just that she's best at reading Ileana's mind. I mean, that's
The test with her dad wore Mia out. She wanted some snacks. And so while she left the room, we asked her mom some casual questions. Her mom had mentioned that the family was deeply Catholic. I asked her mother about her gut reaction when Mia first revealed this, especially in light of her faith. You'll hear Rebecca, our translator, often in this conversation.
When she said that she could read her mind, she did feel afraid.
Miedo porque no sabía cómo la gente la iba a ver.
She didn't understand even how to speak to their friends about her abilities.
Que la vean como algo así oscuro, como algo.
Pero that got stepped on there. But what Ileana was expressing is a fear that people might see Mia as something dark or be scared of her gift.
She's experienced it slowly. She's been less and less afraid, and she's starting to understand it more and more. So Mia says the fact that they don't communicate verbally, communicate mentally is a gift.
Le gusta mucho.
She loves it. So Mia says that it's more beautiful for her to communicate with her mom in that way. With telepathy.
Es muy importante.
There's something really important.
Como alguien que no es común.
Someone who's not common. She knows that Mia is going to change a lot of minds and hearts. She wrote in her diary that she can read everybody's mind, but you have to believe in her for her to do it.
We did more tests that afternoon and the following day. including a QEEG test where we did a brain scan between Mia and her mother.
My name is Dr. Jeff Tarrant. I'm a psychologist and have been studying and working with neurofeedback and quantitative EEG analysis for about the last 25 years.
If you remember my first call with Diane, she said she wanted to do a QEEG brain scan during a telepathy experiment. Dr. Tarrant volunteered to do this for us. He put tight caps on both Mia and her mother, filled the holes with some sort of gel, clipped something on the ears, and hooked all of this up to a computer. Mia did not like the clip on her ear, but she was a trooper and able to sit still long enough to do some telepathy experiments so Jeff could get good data.
The biggest overall finding is really this increase of activation across all the brain waves. If there was no change, I would definitely be skeptical.
This won't be the only QEEG test that Jeff volunteers to do for us, but we'll dive more into his findings and research in future episodes. After our 2 days of filming together, I had more questions than answers, and I was fixated on finding out how and why this is possible and how widespread it was. When we were leaving the shoot, I said to Dr. Powell, "That seemed so easy to demonstrate and so unbelievable. How is this not everywhere?" And in so many words, she said, "You haven't seen anything yet." And then she relayed in a gentle way that all of the tests we'd done over the past 2 days would not be accepted by her scientific peers. That was difficult for me to compute because what I saw in that room twisted my mind and my heart and my soul into a pretzel. My entire worldview was shifted in one afternoon. And here's Diane Powell telling me she was good, but none of the tests that we did today would be accepted by her scientific peers. And I felt crestfallen and confused. We were so careful. There was no cheating. Every mirror was covered. All the glass was covered. Mia was never even looking in the direction of the cues. We tested the blindfolds. We had partitions. People were looking at this from every angle. We had 5 cameras. Everyone in that room saw with their own eyes that Mia consistently, somehow, could read her mother's mind. Even Jeff Tarrant, the QEEG guy, said, "I've never seen anything like this." I couldn't understand what Dr. Powell was telling me, that all the tests we'd done over the past few days would be thrown out by science. And we will get into that. We'll get into why that is. But at that moment, I looked at Dr. Powell and said, "Who could be better than this?" And she said I should go test one of the children she tested before. She suggested that I go meet a boy named Akil and his mother, Manisha. A few weeks later, I got on a plane and went to New Jersey with Michael, my skeptical, yet partially softened cinematographer. I was on a journey to figure out what could possibly make a candidate better for testing than Mia, who seemed so accurate and so completely telepathic. Without knowing it, I was walking straight into a decades-long battle over truth and perception, ableism and greed, skepticism and gatekeeping. And in the center of it all, our parents, who are working so hard every day, invisible, against all odds, and they know exactly what is happening under their own roofs. So if you open this book right now and you looked at a picture and said, "What am I looking at?" What would he say?
He will tell me what I'm looking at.
Do you have to be in the room?
No, it's in my mind and it just goes there.
In the next episode, our universe expands exponentially, and we're faced with the possibility that scientists, educators, the media, doctors, and critics have gotten everything completely wrong. A very special thanks to my incredible collaborator and producer, Jen Mirza, who created all music and sound effects for this episode of the Telepathy Tapes. Remember that you can review some of the tests and see some of the film recordings on our website, thetelepathytapes.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and join us next week as this world expands and deepens.
Yeah, that's something, that website is in the description.
Likewise on my channel, the link for this is in my description.
Wherever it
I'm going to continue on to the next
Red's
episode
going to continue.
on my channel.
You want to go over to Red's channel?
I will be starting next episode in
Red's
just a
going to carry on
moment.
in effect. It's going to close down here and we'll carry on Red.
So anyone who's interested in hearing more, please feel free to join me over here. Join us. We're both still over here, so we will carry this on.
Well, we enjoy listening to that again, actually, because you miss things out. So,
Thank you so much, Sister
and
Jade.
spread
It's
any
really
awareness on the
interesting.
SCP anyway. Not
Yeah,
on the
that's the
screen,
most important
just
part.
about autistic people in general.
Right.
you know, and if you continue hearing this on the door by yourself,
And there's
then
so much more to it than just the telepathy portion. It is about
Yeah.
conscious.
this
It is about
Yeah,
consciousness.
there's loads to it.
The main thing
Yeah,
is about
opens your
consciousness.
consciousness,
So
for
just
sure.
to really tie
What
that
we're
all
all
in,
into, what
even
we've
though it's
been-
about telepathy, that is for sure the main
in my journey all the way through
thing
my
here.
life. About consciousness. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They get it. It's
So
like,
if
oh,
you do see a special needs person in your lifetime, you
Yeah.
might think a little bit differently about them, and
hopefully
might
say
think
something
that
in our
you
mind, people can hear it.
think you know that they can hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
So send them a loving thought, a hug in your heart.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good New Year. This
Thank
is
you so
probably
much,
my New
everybody,
Year's
for
thing.
joining. Sister Jackie, we love you,
Yeah,
girl.
love you,
I didn't get to say hi to you.
Thanks,
The
Heidi,
thing was
coming here,
on.
sharing it out. Yeah, thanks, Heidi. Hopefully you will.
Well, we love you, Sister Jenny.
Thanks,
She's going to go
everybody.
spend time with her man.
One.
God bless you both.
Big love, everyone.
God bless everyone.
Right. See you over on Red Stream. If you want to go
Right.
over there, I'll see you over there, Pete. Right. Right, hold on.
We're starting episode
I'm
2 over
gonna
here,
do
so I will not
close
start it
the
right
door.
this second. I'm going to wait for just a few minutes before I start. So in case anybody does want to come over, we love you so much, Sister Jenny. Seriously. And definitely we're keeping you in our prayers. Absolutely. Trust me now. I know you already know that. You can see my mind. Yeah.
Right, I love you all.
We love
Peace
you
out.
guys. Bye. Thank you.
Love you.
And not goodbye to any of you, by the way. Over here on my building. Stay tuned. Stay with- Yay, Sister Jenny.
Jenny.
She says thank you and we love you.
Oh,
We
that's
love
all
you
over
so
there.
much.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know
Go-
what to keep
go
going.
watch, hmm?
Cool. So, just wait for a few over here. Quietly. Hope everyone's doing well. I appreciate anybody who's just joining now over here. Thank you so very much. Appreciate your interest. Super duper. Well, I'm going to start this second episode pretty soon here. Just give it a couple minutes. 1:11 right now. Oh, that's my link over yours. That's all right.
Mark what was dropping in a few times. Hopefully it's the right
Yeah,
one.
I
Because
did,
he does
yeah.
two.
Oh, Rock is home. Perfect. Well, it's almost a brand new year, everyone. Sure is. Okay. Let Rock in. All right. Just put him in there. Good. Oh, we're just gonna get situated. Let's get into it. Oh, Cuddy baby. What's so surprised he's so brave to get out there for so long? The fireworks out there. He was so scared. Now he ran in here so scared, poor baby. He's not scared now. What a precious boy he is. All right, all right. All right. New Year's Eve. Not everywhere in the world, but over here in this part of the world, it is. Hey now, we're on the countdown to say goodbye to 2024 and hello 2025. Commence the countdown.
Final countdown.
It would suck ass if it weren't for you.
Good luck, Penny. Well, this sounds good for fake Jenny.
So you have to go to see Amanda. I'd have to go spend time with my man baby.
Who wants to shout out who's in the
Pretty much just us, I believe.
Cool.
Yeah. What two? We're gonna hit play. Episode 2 on the way. Right at you. Live and direct.
What's up, everyone? This is Kai Dickens, and you're listening to the Telepathy Tapes podcast.
My son said to me, what is this phenomenon happening? Why on earth is my mind completely connected? Telepathy is the tip of the iceberg with their spiritual gift.
People don't understand that they can do this. They don't even have to be in the same room, same zip code.
For decades, a very specific group of people have been claiming telepathy is happening in their homes and in their classrooms. And nobody has believed them. Nobody has listened to them. But on this podcast, we do.
Get in there, man. Sky.
Welcome to the second episode of the Telepathy Tapes. Today we explore if something far greater than telepathy is happening amongst our subjects. The phenomenon around telepathy in non-speaking individuals extends well beyond correctly naming flashcards or numbers from behind a partition. It's bigger, and it reveals something more mysterious and complex about the origins and potential of consciousness. We're on our way to New Jersey to meet a mother named Manisha, who says that whatever is happening, shared consciousness is a better term for it than telepathy. Manisha and her husband immigrated to the United States from India after they got married, and their only son, named Akil, was diagnosed with autism as a toddler.
He regressed after his first birthday, and he was diagnosed at 18 months. And I had no clue what autism was. None of the doctor ever gave us a hope that have an intelligent child, you have a smart child. Doctor said he will never speak.
Manisha is a lightning bolt of a mother. She has gone to the ends of the earth to help her son, Akil, be successful. Akil is now in college and wants to study plant medicine. Akil is someone that Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell, the neuroscientist studying telepathy in non-speaking individuals, has tested before. Dr. Diane felt the last telepathy test we witnessed in the first episode wouldn't hold up under scrutiny. She urged me to meet Akil and his mother in order to get a clearer picture of the phenomenon. Now that I've become committed to exploring and understanding this, I've become very aware of two worldviews that are complementary but also sometimes competing. One is that of a committed scientist, Dr. Diane, who needs incredibly controlled and rigorous scientific tests in order to explore whether or not telepathy is happening. The other is that of the parents, who just want answers. They need to know how and why this is happening, what it all means, and how to best empower their kids who seemingly have the ability to read their minds. And the conundrum is that research needs to be funded in order to give the parents these answers. And there's not much money pouring into this because the topic is kind of taboo. So Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell almost needs to prove to the scientific community that there is a there there. Here's Diane and I talking about this.
I did an extensive review of the literature that already existed by other scientists on these things that I was told were impossible. So I didn't fall for that trap of the thinking, the science is settled on that telepathy is impossible. It became a goal of mine to explore it, to have the opportunity to actually test it under controlled trials.
So what was your goal? Was it to prove telepathy exists or just to legitimize it to science?
My goal was to try to advance science by expanding our way of approaching these things, but also I've been wanting to come up with a theory for how the brain and consciousness might even have anything to do with one another.
By the end of the episode, I promise that I'll explain why Mia's tests don't hold up under scientific rigor, but I think it's imperative for you to get to know Akil first. This trip is more or less just for me to better understand this and understand what Diane's looking for. So she did not come with us to New Jersey. Okay, that's stuff on the house. She said it looks fine. Here, pull in here. Hey! Hi, Manisha! I'm Kai. I arrive at Akil's house with Michael, who's my camera guy, and a small crew. Okay, is it okay to put things right here? We'll take our shoes off.
Okay, Kai is here.
Oh my gosh, Akil. It's so nice to finally meet you in person. When we arrive, Akil's just getting ready for his day. While the crew brings in equipment, I sit down with Akil in the hallway near his kitchen. We're on the floor, and he's draped himself in a blanket.
So, Kai, I want to show you some stuff. Show your app. Where is your app?
Manisha hands an iPad over to Akil and encourages him to show me the app that he uses for communicating.
This will be the best thing for you to directly communicate with him. We have to. We have to. S-H.
Akil is typing into an app where every letter or word that he types is spoken out loud. The software also uses a predictive text tool that offers likely next words. So sometimes you'll hear letters being called out and other times an entire word. We have to show
how the mind.
Akil just wrote on his speaking device, we have to show how the mind works.
Akil, do you like it better if I type to you on this or when I talk to you with words?
Manisha demonstrates for me that using his app to type directly to him is sometimes the best way to get into the flow with Akil, better than talking to him verbally.
Let's say Akil, Kai is here. Mm-hmm. They are going to tell me here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Akil just wrote, Kai spend time with friends and film interviews.
This will be the best thing for you to directly communicate with him. Akil, go take shower.
While Akil goes and showers and gets dressed, we spend a little time chatting with Manisha at her kitchen table.
You said like up until age 11, he was nonverbal, but he was understanding everything.
He was comprehending everything, but he did not have a way to show us. So he goes to this new school and they introduced him to something called supported typing. It's very controversial and I had no clue. And they had 40 children already typing in the school. And he goes for his first typing session. So they just give him a little bit of support from here. And with that support, he typed 4 lines.
Manisha is showing me how the teacher would support the bottom of Akil's wrist when he first started typing.
So the school teacher called me next day and said, you know what, we are doing the supported typing program with Akil. And I said, he doesn't know his letters. He said, of course he knows his letters.
So by 11, Akil had already been through 2 different schools, and this new school started to teach Akil to communicate via typing. Manisha didn't believe it. She didn't think it was possible because for a decade, all the other schools had told her that he doesn't know any numbers or letters.
The school teacher called and said, why don't you come and check it out? I said, okay. So I go there. She shows me how to do it. I see it, and I'm still unsure about it. So almost a month or 2 months passed. Akil was typing in school with the teacher. We just had 2 choices. Should we believe in this communication or should we not believe in this communication?
And she hedged a bet, and she tried typing with him alone at their house. And something clicked.
I had to literally look into his eyes and told him that I trust you.
She went against every professional opinion in her life and made the choice to presume competence. And everything changed between them.
I don't know what happened, but things clicked between me and Akil. And we started our journey. And then I would ask him many questions.
So you knew he was typing for real?
Yes, but if you go and search about supported typing, it would be already controversial.
Okay, because supported typing, maybe you could just explain it again. It's when you have the help and support of a therapist, but from what I understand it, the controversy is, oh, well, the therapist is pushing their hand.
Correct. It starts from here, then support comes here, then support comes here.
Manisha is showing me that when Akil first started typing, pressure was put on his wrist, then it was moved to his forearm, then to his elbow, and then to his shoulder. Though Akil learned to converse via supported typing, there are various methods of typing to communicate. The original method was called facilitated communication, and that received the most criticism due to the amount of touch involved. There's also rapid prompting method and spelling to communicate. Many in this world just simply say spelling to keep things easy, and it's common to refer to individuals who communicate this way as spellers. And the reason spelling works is because you're using your body to point to a letter, and that's a gross motor skill, versus verbally speaking, which is a fine motor skill.
And we believe in him. And we said, you know what, we are going to presume competence.
And thank God they presumed competence, because now Akil can type totally on his own into an iPad or computer without anyone touching him. Once Akil could communicate, Manisha and her husband got to learn about Akil in a whole new and intimate way. And one of the most shocking but helpful things he told them was that he didn't realize he had a body.
But he was not aware of his body. He made a statement, I cannot see my body in my mind.
And how did you teach him to see his body?
And we started touching him. And I started touching each finger. He realized, oh, I have hands and fingers and they move.
I love this visual of Manisha rubbing his hands and fingers, and then Akil realizing, oh, I have hands and fingers and they move. There's just no way he could have conveyed this type of disconnect without being able to communicate.
And then he started saying, oh, I have a body, but the body in my mind doesn't move.
Akil talks a lot about the mind-body disconnect, and this is how he articulated it for the first time, that the body he sees in his mind doesn't move when he asks it to do so.
And so when did everything start with telepathy? Like, when did you realize he could read your mind?
I could feel that he was reading my thoughts. Mm-hmm. He has a capacity to read my mind. In fact, like one day he was in school and he typed with me and said, oh, you had gone out today. And then he started typing everything he knew. I went to Walmart, I didn't get things there, then I went to Target. So everything like my life was like an open book.
So you were like, where did I go today? And he said Target, Walmart.
Yeah, he knew everything. I didn't even tell him anything, and that's why then I was like, oh my God, I called my husband. What is this? My life is an open book. And that's why I got convinced that this was telepathy. And then I started reading more about it. It was very hard to find answers for this.
This has become a familiar refrain by parents who discover their kids have telepathy. There's just not much information about this out there. So Manisha turned to people within the community, others who she'd met through the spelling world.
So people who are from the supported typing world, I went and I asked them, what is happening when I'm near a kid? What is my field and what is a kid's field? Why do my thoughts and his thoughts become identical?
The specificity of her question is important. What is his field versus what is my field? She's not asking what's his body and what's my body, or his thoughts or my thoughts. It's more about how are they merging.
And she said, it's like the kids are using your blackboard. So they use your mental space. So this is the dimension which is beyond science for me.
Trying to make sense of this was totally beyond me as well. And in future episodes, we will dig into this with many experts. But what I can say right now is that Manisha is one of many, many parents and teachers who say that there seems to be some sort of energetic transfer or something going on. One mom said to me, in order for my son's software to work, he needs to use my hardware. It's very clear that non-speakers have thoughts of their own and they can communicate independently, and they are extremely capable of thriving in school. But what many non-speakers are saying is that they have the ability to merge in some way. And parents and teachers will tell you that at times, you can't tell where one consciousness begins and the other one ends.
So how did you meet Dr. Powell?
So it was 2015, and I approached her saying, Dr. Diane, my son is telepathic, and how could you help her to understand him or what we can do? And that's how then first time Dr. Diane came to our house. She did a part 1 study.
This first telepathy test that Dr. Diane did with Manisha and Akil was on that drive she sent me when I first met her. The other amazing thing about this test was that the famous author and New Age guru Deepak Chopra tagged along. And apparently he was so amazed by what he saw that he left his briefcase and glasses and I think even his phone at Manisha's house because he was so flustered by what he just witnessed. Akil resurfaces and he's dressed and ready for the day, but you can tell he's distracted and a little concerned about all the lights and the people.
Akil, do you think we should show them how you boil the egg? We use Instapot, we use electric gadgets so that he can cook for himself. So now he can boil eggs for himself.
Manisha has done an incredible job equipping Akil with his independent living skills. And while she's showing me around the kitchen, Akil leaves the room and hides in the closet.
You want to go check on Akil?
Akil! Come on, Akil. Yeah, I'm giving you a job. Come out.
Manisha, I'm saying Akil that he can have YouTube once he comes out. This is a negotiation I feel very familiar with from my own household.
Come, I'll give you YouTube. Come.
Knowing that Akil can seemingly read Manisha's mind, I find it very cute that we're whispering. But more than anything, I want to make sure he's comfortable.
You don't have to ask him right now if he needs alone time, but does he want to do an interview first? Go walk around outside for a little bit? Does he want to show telepathy?
I can check with him.
When Manisha comes back into the room, she suggests that we take some of the lights down. There's a lot of commotion, a lot of newness, and it's simply and understandably overwhelming.
This is overwhelming him.
We'll take the light down.
Now we are going to do whatever.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we'll be in here the most.
So I asked the crew to please take down all the lights and for them to go stand outside. The weather was beautiful, thankfully. I wanted to meet Akil where he was at, and with his permission, I went and sat with him in silence in the closet for a little bit. And with Manisha's prompting and the safety of his blanket, he settled in at the dining room table.
It's better now. So no one's up here now. It's just Michael and your mom and me, okay?
Okay, so I want you to see how Aki's mind and my mind are connected. Whatever you call it, the telepathy or whatever. Take a paper from here. And I'm going to fold it.
Remember that we don't have Dr. Diane here, so we're kind of winging it. Manisha grabs a spiral notebook and sheets of white computer paper. Manisha's kind of spearheading this test, and I'm a little confused as to what's happening.
We're going to make 8 of them. If you want to do it more, just make more.
She's folding the white paper and making deep creases so we can easily tear them into little white cue cards.
And then I want you to write one word here.
She hands me the notebook, and I like what's happening because she's suggesting using it as a partition. I'll be able to write a word on one of the cue cards inside the notebook, blocking the view of it by holding up the cover.
Okay, write it. So you decide which words you want.
Okay.
And hold on to them.
I'm going to have my camera guy write a word too, this way.
Yeah, anybody.
Okay.
Let's write these over here so there's no way anyone can see. Okay, and then we'll put these in the paper bag and...
Just give me one in my hand.
Okay.
Michael has made a black backing out of foam core to put behind each slip of paper, so there's no possible way Akil can see the paper.
Okay. So Akil cannot see this. This is the first one.
The first one was written by Michael, and the word he chose was onion, O-N-I-O-N.
Okay, now, Manisha, let me give it to you.
We're at a dining room table. Akil is sitting at the head of the table, and I'm standing with Manisha perpendicular to Akil on the long side of the table. When we start the test, Akil is just looking down at the table, and then he grabs his iPad in order to communicate.
N.
That's awesome, Akil.
Michael's eyes become huge.
It's so cool.
What?
Now I'm going to do another one. Okay, Manisha, come stand here.
I've taken a step back and changed my body position slightly, just in case. I reach into the paper bag, and the new word is tiger.
This one.
Okay.
Okay.
Go, buddy.
Tiger. Awesome. Amazing. So, Akil, can you do it if your mom was farther away?
Yeah.
She could be here, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We can give verbal. We can give verbal also.
Okay.
We'll do one verbal.
This is exciting because we haven't done this before. Akil is minimally verbal, and though it's difficult for him to string together a sentence verbally, he's great at calling out letters. Akil's pronunciation might sound different from yours or mine. He can't form words or sounds effortlessly. But we go ahead and try this test.
So here.
Akil has moved over to the sofa in the living room, and Manisha is still sitting at the dining room table, which is about 15 feet away. And she's going to basically show us how Akil's telepathy works in real time. So for every letter she writes, he will speak it. She writes the first letter M. Next, she writes letter O. And she writes the letter V. Manisha was barely even done writing the word movie when Akil was yelling it from across the room. It was pretty unbelievable.
This is a book that my father-in-law wrote about an uncle. So you can't buy this book on Amazon. You can't find it anywhere. So if you open this book right now and you looked at a picture and said, "What am I looking at?" What would he say?
He will tell me what I'm looking at. He will tell me what I'm looking at.
Do you have to be in the room?
No, I don't have to be in the room. So one day I was watching a movie of an athlete whose leg was amputated, and he got into Special Olympics.
The family lives in a house with multiple floors. So one day, Manisha was watching a film downstairs in the basement about an Olympian who had his leg amputated.
And I went upstairs to tell Akhil, come, look, I want to show you the story, see how people overcome their difficulties and challenges. He said, yes, I know he doesn't have a higher leg and he is an Olympic.
I was watching the show.
Because I was watching, he was upstairs. So those thoughts can get transferred.
So Manisha had gone upstairs to tell Akhil, I want you to see this movie. It could be inspirational for you. And Akhil revealed he already knew the plot line and what it was about, even though Akhil was upstairs in his room. Manisha shared a few stories like this. Another amazing one was that she could be reading a book in a different room and later ask Akhil a question about the book she was reading. For instance, where is the main character from? And he could correctly tell her the answer from a book she was reading while she was alone in a different part of the house.
If I'm sitting here, okay, and I'm reading something in my mind, and if I ask him a question in my mind, he will answer.
This absolutely blew my mind. It's something I think about a lot. And this will be one of many stories you hear like this. One of the subjects we meet later in Georgia knew all about Harry Potter, even though he'd never read the books. When his mom asked him how, he noted that his sister had read all of the books, and that's why he could answer any question about it. But he wasn't in the room with her when she was reading them. So this onion will just keep coming back and back and back. Akhil has walked away. He's in the living room, sitting on a couch watching his iPad. The iPad is a bit of a reward for having so much patience with the test this morning.
Akhil, you can probably tell me yes or no. I know you're watching YouTube, but telepathy, how we're meant to communicate?
That's what he had explained in the past.
What did he say?
He had said that in my world, people don't talk. People just close their eyes, and that's how we communicate.
In his world, they don't talk, but they still communicate. What do you think he meant by that?
So once he came home and he was upset, and I typed with him. So I said, okay, why are you upset? And he said that I am telling hi to the person, but the person is not replying me back.
Okay, wait. So Akhil is saying hi with his mind, but the other child isn't responding to him because he didn't say it out loud.
Yes. So he thinks, why do I have to use my mouth and my body to answer the question when I'm answering in my mind? So he doesn't get it.
He thinks everyone should be using telepathy.
Yeah, he literally tells me that teach people how to read my mind. And I said, I cannot. He said, I have to read people's mind.
Despite that, I was confused because Akhil said, in my world, this is how we communicate. And I just kept wondering, well, who is the we? Communication takes two people doing something back and forth. And what I've learned from talking to so many spellers is they do not misspeak. The words they choose are precise and thoughtful, often poetic. So who is the we in his world that he's referring to? We take a break for lunch, and when we return from lunch, I suggest doing more formal tests with Akhil using his speaking device.
I wonder if it was like a random picture generator. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
A random word generator.
Oh, yeah. Random word generator. Aha. Okay. Oh, look at this. Weird words, fake words. Holy, look how weird that word is.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm trying my best to channel Dr. Powell. We download a brand new random word generator in front of the camera on the spot, and then we set up the room to get various angles with our cameras.
I'm going to start the shot right here. There's nothing back here. We just have an empty room, a table, no mirrors.
With my camera, I did a 360-degree sweep of the room so people could see that there's no one in front of Akhil giving him clues or mirrors or any reflective devices. In fact, Akhil was often just looking down at the ground, looking at his hands.
What should I press?
You got to hit the blue one.
This?
Exactly. Hit that one. Or do another random word.
So
here.
when you do the random again, just do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe just tell like.
Even though the software probably makes the word very random, we have decided to always hit the button twice or three times to make the word super, super random.
Is it okay?
The word she selects is Izzard, I-Z-A-R-D. Manisha is sitting next to Akhil on the couch, and Manisha is closest to me. And my iPad, which now has the random word generator on it, is facing away from Akhil toward my camera. There's no way that Akhil could see what's on the iPad because it's facing in the complete opposite direction of him.
Good, and then show us. Nice, Akil.
I didn't touch at all.
Manisha just said, I didn't touch it all. And this is because at the beginning of the day, I asked her to never touch him during any of the tests. And this is the first test that we've done where they're sitting right next to each other, side by side.
Let's do another one.
Another one?
Yeah. Akil is leaning on the couch, his safety blanket draped around his shoulders and the back of his head. We can see where his eyes are. And once again, there's no way he can see the iPad. It is facing in the complete opposite direction of him.
Random board.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Okay, ready. You're doing great, Akil.
The word Manisha has pulled up is KITH. KITH. Akil's typing device is sitting casually on the couch, facing up, and she hands it to him so he can start.
P.
Yes. Akil types two of the wrong letters here, something you don't see very often, and he kind of looks at his mom. And then he confirms with Manisha that he can watch YouTube when he's done with all of the testing. And she says yes. And then suddenly, it's like he's back in action.
K. I. T. H. K.
Awesome, Akil. Can we please do one more?
Okay.
Okay, random word generator, go for it.
The word generated is PATTE.
P. A.
That's 20 though.
T. E. Pat.
Good. Nice.
We continue to do many more tests with random word generators, random number generators, and Akil continues to be accurate. But this is where things got fun. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's a random picture generator. One of the things Manisha continually says is that this is not sheer telepathy. The second information enters her mind, it goes into his mind. She says it's like they share a consciousness, and sometimes she's not sure if a thought is hers, or his, or theirs together. I'm thinking that a random picture generator is one of the best ways to test this because the picture that's generated, it often isn't obvious or clear what it is to Manisha or me or any of the crew looking at it. And so if telepathy involves sending a signal to someone or sending a picture and they receive it, then what we're about to do is beyond just testing sheer telepathy because she won't be sending a signal because she sometimes doesn't know what she's looking at.
There is a random picture generator. Okay, good. Some of them are pretty dumb. I mean, look at this. It's so abstract.
Yeah, but see, it's interesting.
Manisha is sitting on the couch, but Akil has gone back into this little nook off the dining room. It's a small room that we haven't been in yet today. And as Manisha's pulling up the image, I'm asking Michael to please try to go film Akil in the room where he's at.
But I think I want him here.
Let's just please try one with him in there.
Okay.
Michael, can you please go film Akil and I'll cover this. Manisha hits the button that says generate and an image of red phone booths, the type you see in London, enter the frame.
Okay, what is this? That? Left?
Hey, Michael, can you go over here and get
Telephone.
what
He said telephone. And what is the color?
Michael, I have this
Red. Red. You want me to go there with him?
just so we know.
Akil sounds out telephone and then sounds out the word red. For most of this test, I'm distracted because I really want Michael to be in the other room with Akil so we could prove that he was far, far in another room. I've played back this test many times and I encourage you to do the same. Because yes, Manisha is echoing or repeating the sounds that Akil is making. And when you play it back, you'll see that he is always making the sound first and she is echoing it or validating what's being said.
You want me to go there with him?
No, this is good.
She offered to go sit with Akil, but I wanted to capture another test like this with them in totally different rooms. However, at that moment, Akil walks back and sits on the couch.
Oops. Okay, he's here. He's here. He'll do it.
We are in the same setup as before, where Manisha is sitting closest to my camera. She's holding her iPad toward me, and there's no possible way Akil can see it.
Okay, random picture generator. Ready? What is this?
The picture that was generated was weird. You can tell by Manisha's reaction that she isn't sure what it is. To me, it looks like the remnants of a food fight, like mustard and relish and ketchup on the ground.
Okay, go. What is that? What do you see, Akil?
P.
A. I. N. T. Paint.
Akil had typed paint.
And show it up to us, Akil.
Can we accept it?
It's amazing.
We did a few tests like this. Akil would state what he was seeing, even though often Manisha had no clue what the picture was. This felt similar to the popsicle stick test that we did with Mia in the last episode. This was different than just telepathy. I thought about this test a lot, and after the shoot, I talked with Michael, my cinematographer, about it. And here's a snippet from our conversation.
I would love to get your take on the random picture generator. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, there were moments where he's interpreting images differently than we are. But then once he says it or he does it and you look at it and it makes sense, you can tell that he's thinking about these things as a metaphor.
One of the things that Manisha said to me early on was it's not just sheer telepathy, it's almost like sharing of a consciousness. And she's like, I don't know what that means. Does it mean consciousness is coming to us from somewhere else and we're both tapping in the same like signal? Or what? And so that was the thing for me, watching the random picture generator. It's like, okay, if it's possible, like that my phone can send you a text or my phone can send you a picture, why couldn't that happen with the brain? Maybe she's sending him a word or a number or a picture, right? But then when it came to like looking at a random picture, like you said, having to interpret this metaphorically, then I was like, she doesn't know what she's even sending him because she doesn't even know what she's looking at sometimes. So what does this mean? Is he looking through her eyes? Like,
Well,
that's to me.
Yeah, that's the difference is like, is he just using her eyes as an instrument, like you said? The idea that like he sees something or he's interpreting something that she's not even interpreting is more just like he's bypassing her brain and just using her eyes.
Our afternoon of testing left us with more questions than answers. From another room, Akil could describe exactly what his mom was looking at. When Manisha wrote a word and then crossed it out, Akil could name the first word and then the second word. He even interpreted pictures his mother viewed from across the room. Was Akil somehow seeing through his mother's eyes? Were they sharing a consciousness? Or was something entirely different happening? We took a break to see Akil's college setup in the office. There he types independently with a large computer keyboard, and we saw him do some lessons in computer graphics and coding.
If you want to animate a single shape in game language, you can quickly end up with a lot of variables to manage.
Akil demonstrates his academic prowess. He's taking college-level classes, and the software program that Manisha has just pulled up teaches animation and coding.
You can control a sprite's properties in your program by using dot notation.
Then we went back to the living room so Akil could work on building robots on the floor. We stayed there for the remainder of the evening, and it felt very intimate and close. We did more telepathy tests, in fact, some of my favorite ones, but we did them in between some meaningful conversation.
Akil, what do you think about the parents who say, oh, my child doesn't understand, they're not in there?
N-O-T. Not.
Not?
Not
sure.
Go ahead.
T-O-T.
Not to.
H-I-N-K.
Okay.
Not to think.
That.
Akil sitting next to his mom, typing into the speaking device. And this is how he ended up answering my question about what he'd say to parents who think their kids aren't in there.
Not you think they have to show, but this is not easy.
The software leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to punctuation. But what he wrote was, not to think that. They have to show, but this is not easy.
I know it's not easy. You make yourself understood so well.
Yeah.
I also asked Manisha what she wants most for Akil. Though telepathy is a fascinating and perplexing development in her life, and she definitely wants answers, she's got much heavier and bigger concerns.
The kids like Akil should be accepted, and instead of trying to fix them, see what their capabilities are, what their skills are, and work on strengths. Everybody is busy either trying to understand them, research them, make judgments about them, and trying to get them to come in our world and do things what we do.
And this is the crux of everything. Non-speakers have been judged by their behaviors for decades. Schools, doctors, really, society at large, makes judgments on what their body is doing. But this isn't an accurate reflection of their intelligence. It's a beguiling trap. How does society celebrate neurodiversity when we do little to fit them into our world?
Like the blanket which he has. Can he take the blanket all over the place? No, the teachers think that's not appropriate and he should not. But this is house, we cannot take the blanket away from him. So there has to be an agreement and a mutual understanding between both the worlds. And both the worlds and both the community have to bring into a balance.
Akil operates best when he has a blanket around him. Why can't we allow this in schools or a workplace?
if they need to be touched, like they need to be touched.
Many non-speakers feel more grounded and better able to regulate their bodies when they're being touched. But when it comes to communicating via spelling, so often their words are discounted as not even being their own if they aren't typing independently into a keyboard. And it took Akil years to get to that point. And some people never do. Should their words and thoughts be discounted along the way because of this? And another way we're not meeting them or even trying is by not looking into this. The idea that non-speakers might have abilities with their minds that the rest of us have either forgotten how to use or just simply can't access. Have you ever asked him, does he see through your eyes or does he just know what's in your mind?
It's just automatic. He gets it automatically at that time.
And to dig into this further, I came up with a new test on the spot, which ended up actually being one of my favorites. Akil is under his blanket, busy with his iPad.
All right, I'm just going to do something.
I took out my phone calculator. Akil will have to tell us the answer to the equation that we just typed into the calculator in real time. Okay, I'm going to type in the first equation. I type in 11031,597 times 4. I certainly don't know the answer to that. The answer that pops up is long.
Oh, that's too long?
As noted, we're sitting on the floor. Manisha is next to Akil, and I'm sitting in front of her, holding the calculator away from Akil and toward Michael's camera. So again, there's no way Akil can use this number. Akil picks up his speaking device off the ground and goes for it. The answer is 44,126,388.
4, 4, 1, 2, 6, 3, 8, 8.
That's what the number was. Akil, it's so unbelievable. I'm gonna have your mom do it. So I'm out of the shot. Okay, so
I hand the calculator to Manisha. She keeps it turned away from Akil.
look at me for a second, Akil. You ready for another one?
Yeah. Let's please multiply two numbers and see if he gets it. Manisha types in 25 times 36, and as the answer pops up, she points to her head and says, the moment it comes here, and then she points to Akil and says, it goes there.
The moment it comes here, it goes there.
Can you see it already in your mom's head?
Yeah, exactly.
The calculator is pointed totally away from Akil, right up in Michael's camera, and Akil is under his blanket, and his speaking device is on the ground in front of him. By the way, 25 times 36 equals 900.
Okay, what is it?
9, 0, 0.
Unbelievable.
We do multiple calculator tests with longer numbers, shorter numbers, and Akil is right every time. And the reality of what we're seeing, there really aren't words for it.
What is this phenomenon happening? Why are his mind and my mind completely connected?
The desperation in Manisha's voice is not something that I've heard echoed over and over again over the course of 4 years. Can someone please just explain this? And it's hard for scientists to get research funded in this realm. Because, as we talked about in episode 1, much of our scientific paradigm is materialism, which more or less says the only things that can be real are things that can be observed and measured. So scientists who earnestly want to research and look into ESP and telepathy have historically not been given much respect and certainly not money. And Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell has been trying. But there needs to be a ton of research looking into this. And what Manisha says next is classic.
Whoever is asking for data, and Akil is the data.
Whoever is looking for data, Akil is the data. Michael had signaled to me that he needed another battery.
Oh, you need a battery? Run down and get it because I have to get something too.
When I got to the camera room, Michael had his head in his hands. And if you remember from the first episode, Michael often approaches things skeptically. I would say, and I think Michael would agree, that he doesn't believe in much that can't be measured or explained. And he certainly doesn't put much stock in religion. When he looked up, he said, do I have to believe in God now? Coming from Michael, this was totally out of character. I was actually shocked to hear that question come out of his mouth. And we couldn't really dig into this or talk about it because we were working. So I called him afterward.
I was like trying to find an explanation for these things happening. I'm seeing this with my own eyes, but what does it mean? And it's like, okay, does this open up the possibility that there is something bigger than us happening, whether it's like some spiritual thing or something metaphysical? When you see it, that's an easy road to go down.
The spiritual aspect of this cannot be understated. And most people who enter this world have their thoughts on science and spirituality shift, including the parents and teachers who are intimately involved with the non-speakers. But when I asked Michael his thoughts on God after having some time to consider everything, he said,
the more I think about it, though, for me, it doesn't actually prove the existence of God. we used to think God made rainbows.
His reference is a great one. In fact, John Keats, the poet, once said that Isaac Newton would destroy the poetry and wonder of the rainbow by reducing it to just being a prism of colors. In fact, it's not abnormal for scientific breakthroughs to be met with skepticism. That happened to Galileo when he proposed that the sun and not the earth was the center of our universe. It happened to Gregor Mendel when he proposed his theory of genetics. Many scientific breakthroughs that are rejected or ignored by academics and the public when introduced eventually become accepted as empirical truths about our world.
But I saw these things with my eyes, and I believe that they're happening. So now what I'm thinking about is not whether it's happening, but what's the explanation for it.
When he was saying this, it made me think of this Nikola Tesla quote. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. But for now, back to our visit with Akil. The entire reason that we are here, scanning in this basement, is because the telepathy test we did with Mia in episode 1 wouldn't pass scientific muster. And here's Dr. Diane Powell explaining why.
So someone who really knows nothing about these children and their abilities, the testing with Mia was really problematic because the mother was touching her. It's problematic because there's this concern that she could be somehow transmitting the information to me. Akil is a much better test subject because he's been able to go on and type at a computer.
As a refresher, Mia had just learned to communicate via pointing to a letterboard or typing into a speaking device within the past year. When Mia first started typing on her own, she needed support near her typing hand or wrist. And slowly, her mom started putting less pressure on Mia, moving her hand up to Mia's elbow, and then to her shoulder, then to her upper back, and eventually up to her neck. And now she barely touches Mia with a single fingertip on her forehead. When I met Mia's family in person, none of this felt suspect to me. And if I'm being honest, it still doesn't. It was part and parcel of helping her learn to communicate. And it reminded me of when my dad taught me to ride my bike. I wanted him to hold the handles firmly, squeezing my body between both of his arms. And slowly, when I got more confident, he moved his hands up to my shoulders. And then eventually, he was holding the back of the seat. And then at some point, he just touched me slightly on my back. I was balancing on my own, but I needed to know he was there to catch me. Many of us need emotional or physical support when learning something new. And this is especially true for someone who has difficulty with motor planning or controlling their body. The idea that Mia's mom was passing messages regarding detailed words and numbers through a slight touch of a single fingertip that was not visibly moving seemed unlikely to me. But as Michael is always looking through the camera, often with a much tighter view than I have, I called him up to get his thoughts. Do you think that Mia's mom was transferring words and numbers and information through the fingertip on her head?
No, definitely not. The idea that's like some kind of Morse code thing. I mean, it's just, her finger is just on her head. It's not moving.
But regardless of how unlikely we felt it was, that entire words and messages were being passed through a finger, we came to New Jersey to witness telepathy without any touching. And though I understand why Dr. Diane and other scientists doing this work need to focus on this type of criteria in order for their research to be considered thorough and solid, when it comes to day-to-day communication, it feels kind of ableist and silly for anyone else to dictate how someone else should be communicating in order to have their words counted. We go back upstairs to wrap things up, and my head is full of questions. I'm wondering about the origins of consciousness and if it's limited at all by time or space or even death. And I'm wondering how widespread this phenomenon could be. Mr. Amanisha, I know Akil's not in the room right now. And when he gets back, I do want to talk to him about this as well. But has he talked to you about, like God or spirituality?
We had some episodes, and that was shocking to us.
And what were the episodes?
There were some ancestors who had passed away, and Akil started giving messages from them.
So when you would get these messages from people who's passed on, would you go look into them? Like, were they usually correct?
Yeah. But then we didn't want to encourage all these things. So I kept it very limited.
And she told me some stories about ancestors who had died 20 to 30 years ago. And Akil passed along messages from them. And when she went back to India, that's when she confirmed that the messages were correct. And then I brought up Mia, who we met in episode 1.
Mia sees people all the time. that other people can't
Akhil
see?
used to. But then when Akhil used to. Akhil used to see, like when my mom passed away and I used to sit down and study with him, he would say that your mom wants to play with me. And I said, where is she? I said, she's sitting beside me. I said, okay, tell her not to play right now. And I kept it very limited. I didn't want him to get connected to the other world.
As a parent myself, I get this entirely. I would not want my child connected to another world that I couldn't see or be a part of or control. Akil came back into the room, and I was excited to see him because I felt only he could truly answer this next question.
Akil, have you been around other people who have a difficult time speaking where you get a sense you can read their mind? Like, do you think for most non-speaking people, they can read minds?
Y-E-S. Yes.
There was no hesitancy. Y-E-S. When contemplating telepathy as part of the human experience, the most plausible connection is between a mother and a child. A mother's intuition is undeniable, and for the survival of a family unit, it almost makes sense. But Akil is saying that non-speakers can communicate with each other telepathically. And this is what we will explore next.
Everyone with non-speaking and unreliably speaking autism have this ability.
John Paul is in his bedroom and he is telepathically talking to his other friends. They don't even have to be in the same room, same zip code.
And I'm talking tens of thousands of kids. Every single one of them has been telepathic.
Every non-speaker has the ability to communicate telepathically.
In the next episode, we head down to Georgia, where we learn that telepathy in non-speakers knows absolutely no bounds. A very special thanks to my incredible collaborator and producer, Jen Mirza, who created all music and sound effects for this episode of the Telepathy Tapes. Remember that you can review some of the tests and see some of the film recordings on our website, thetelepathytapes.com. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. That's all right. We're going to end it right there. We got in nicely. Nice and deep in this thing. So thank you very much. Anybody that did come through. And we'll see you whenever we see you. Look into this. Check out that link. Dive into it more in case we don't get back to it on here or whatever. But yeah, take care. Thank you guys very much for coming.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year in case we don't see you before.
Big dog tapes.
God bless you and keep you. Thank you so much.